In the first of who knows how many quarantine specials, I spoke to Greg Grunberg from Lost, Heroes, A Star Is Born, Star Trek, Star Wars, and J.J. Abrams' best mate. Subjects included life in general, what went wrong with Heroes Season 3, why he wasn't in The Last Jedi, and is there really a Rise of Skywalker J.J. cut? And he answered some of your questions as well. It's a long one, but we both had nothing better to do. And maybe you don't either. Greg, how are you, mate?
Man, I'm good, and I have to say, I'm even better seeing your face. It's the weirdest thing, you know. Being, I know you're putting out a little quarantinement here, but it's you know, it's isolating. First of all, it's great to spend time with family, you know, and to have a little bit more of that time. I've gone on more walks with my wife than I have our entire 26-year marriage, and it's just you learn to appreciate the people that are around you and the people that you love. And this is just the beginning, though. That's the problem. Is we're entering a 6 to 10 week quarantine.
Yeah, you're Mr. Positivity right now, but it is week 1, pretty much, isn't it? Well, saying in California, you've been in lockdown longer than us in the UK in California, haven't you?
We have been, and they finally, I guess my kids have been out of school for a little over a week. So I've got, my one son's at university and he's a baseball player playing there, and my other son is in high school and he's a baseball player. So I've got these athletes, and we had what I thought was a pretty good gym, little home gym. Nothing big. It wasn't like a room in our house or anything, but outside I've got a couple of weights and things. And have you ever been here? I forgot whether you.
Yeah. I came for. We had like Mexican takeout, and Nick came over and played some guitar. That's right. From what I remember, and we watched some sort of bull chasing match. And it was
football,
like,
or
no, that's egg chasing, isn't it? This was like there was a round ball, and there were like pizza boxes on the field, and they would run from baseball. Pizza box. That thing. Yeah. We watched that.
Yeah, that's a civilized sport that makes sense. You wouldn't get it, but so here's my point is that I thought we had a great gym. I thought, it's okay. And then now, these guys are serious. So we've had to up our gym a little bit. So we got just a couple of little pieces of equipment. Suddenly, we've got my boys are working out like crazy. It seems like one endless Groundhog Day meal is really what this all boils down to.
Every day Sunday, right?
That's right. Every day Sunday. I'm not wearing any pants, and nor do I need to.
Well, that's standard dress code between us both anyway, is it not, Greg?
That's true.
But we have to remember, if I'm not wearing pants in British English, that's a little bit more obscene, shall we say, than in American English, yeah?
But isn't that weird? I turn on the TV when I work over there, when you and I are hanging out, and I see, what's it called? Embarrassing Bodies, the show. I see all this stuff. So you've got nudity everywhere. You got tits and ass and cocks hanging out and whatever. That's fine. Who cares? But you can't be naked right now from the waist down. That would be inappropriate for you to walk around like that in the public. It's more, you guys are more pretend conservative. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I got that. So, but what would be your, from what you've learned, it's early days. And if I ask you again in a week, this might change. It might change week to week. But what would be, so far at least, your number one quarantine tip? Have you learned something about yourself?
Carbs are not my friend. That I've learned.
No, but they're good. They're good.
They're so good, and it builds up your immunity. From what I'm telling myself. When I went to college, the first year of college, you put on what's called the freshman 20. It's like that. You just eat everything. You're out of the house, whatever. Right now, I seem to be putting on what I'm calling the COVID-19, and it's so I'm trying not to. My biggest tip right now is to, on a light note, is to obviously be healthy and exercise every single day and stimulate your mind. On a serious note is to check in on your parents, check in on the loved ones, check in on the older people that are in your neighborhood. You got to understand how scared and terrified these people are right now. we have a little, you remember, a little cul-de-sac here, of houses, and we have a text chain. And so every day we've been walking, and we stay 10 feet away from each other. We don't really get to talk to our neighbors because they're 10 feet back, and I'll be screaming, whatever. But at least you're getting out with a group, and there's 3 or 4 of us. It's not like a big group. But anyway, and while we're walking, just yesterday, there was a woman taking her trash cans in. And she was an elderly woman, and she's in a bathrobe, and she's like, look, it's such a beautiful day. And so I was standing across the street, and she's the sweetest. And I said, how are you today? And this is 3-4 blocks away, 5 blocks away. And she said, good, I'm good. And I said, you need help with that? And she's like, no, I'm okay. I said, do you need everything you need? Just go the extra distance, even in conversation, take it 10 steps further, engage people. You don't realize, and you have to break down these are tough people of that generation. That's the great generation. They went through wars, and they are tough, and they do not want to ask for help. We need to at least, and I'm not even talking about help. I'm talking about just a conversation that goes beyond, hey, how are you? Sit and engage, from 10 feet away. Anybody you can, check in on people. Because isolation is really dangerous. It's very, very dangerous for people that aren't. You and I are incredibly optimistic people. I know you have a very dark side. I'm joking. You never know about people. People that you think are happy all the time obviously can have that. But elderly people, man. Who I really feel sorry for. I'm rambling, but you've got me off on a subject.
Ramble away, mate. Ramble away.
My wife and I were talking yesterday, and there's a friend of ours whose mother is in the hospital. She's passing away, natural causes. She's, but they can't be with her. So she's going to spend the end of her life alone. She's in hospice, absolutely alone, with no one there. Family cannot come see her, and then they will not have a proper funeral. It's incredibly sad. It's one of those things that you and I will never, God willing, touch wood, ever have to experience in our lifetime again. And these are the things that you forget about, and you realize, I know where you are, where I am, and we're actually very, very lucky to be where we are right now, with our families, and you just need to think about the people that aren't. Yeah. That's really my message.
Yeah. This thing affects people in so many different ways, and not just necessarily through the actual root of the problem, i.e. the illness itself. And yeah, my kind of hope from this really is that whilst for now it's all temporary, world economies are falling apart, healthcare services are falling apart because they're under so much strain, but at the same time, and I'm seeing this actually in person, not just on, say, Twitter, communities are getting tighter.
For sure. Absolutely. I went to my little local grocery store. I'm sure you have one out by you. Not a chain store. It's a neighborhood store where they have a proper meat counter and a fish counter and all that. And they're amazing. And it's called Jim's Market. And I've been going there for years. And this is at the height of right when all of us got locked down, and everybody's still hoarding toilet paper. Like where that came from, I don't know. We're not running out of toilet paper, guys. But we ran out of toilet paper because I didn't do that. I didn't run out. I didn't, run to Costco or run here and there and just get everything we can. I was like, yeah, it's going to be fine. And then all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, the kids don't have toilet paper right now. We need a couple rolls of toilet paper till we can find a store that has some. Anyway, I'm in there, and a woman says to the guy who owns the market, you never see the owner of a market. We got to support small businesses. It's so wonderful that he is there. And it's, anyway. And she said, do you have any toilet paper? And he said, no, we don't have any. I'm sorry, we don't. And but it's coming in. Gave her a time to come back and everything. He's so sweet. And then I said, oh man. And he was like, oh, what's the matter? And I said, no, we're just literally out. And he's like, I'll be right back. And he says to her, he goes, are you out? And she was like, no, we're good for a little bit. And I made that noise. And then he was like, are you out? And I said, yeah. He goes into the back, into his industrial, toilet paper that he buys, and he grabs 2 rolls of toilet paper and gives them to me. And I shoved them down his throat. No, I was like, what a sweet gesture. Like, How nice is that? He goes, he just put it in my bag, and he was like, all right, just want to take care. I mean, that's a small example of what I'm talking about, but you're absolutely right. Communities coming together, people realizing, don't take anything for granted. Don't take the people around you for granted, you know?
That guy sounds wonderful. If he'll do that for you, the local bad boy, what would he do for the others? The good guys, the good guys of the neighborhood. What would he do?
Yeah,
for them?
or I got we got a shipment, whatever, UPS driver dropped off this morning, and I spent 5 minutes praising him. He was, I was inside the house, he was outside the house, but through the door, he was 10 feet away, whatever. And I said, man, you got to realize something. You're really saving us all. All of these people that are out there doing, they're doing the greatest work. They're heroes. They're putting their lives on the line. And yeah, he's not a medical worker. The hospital workers, forget about it. Absolute angels, all of them, the doctors, the EMTs, the hospital workers, the cops, the fire department. But these people that are providing all that are delivering, the delivery people, I mean, they will look back. I told them, I said, you're going to look back on this later in your life and say, I did everything I could during that time and made, and really help people. And it's true.
It is. I mean, you've got to try and find the positives in this just weird situation. It's just a very odd place to be in, isn't it? For everybody's in the same boat, Yeah. Even our prime minister has caught the thing.
Yeah.
It has no boundaries,
People in power think that they are, it's funny, you're a teenager and you think you're indestructible and you're immune to some things, and you'll get on the back of a motorcycle without a helmet and you go, I mean, just crazy stuff, sex without protection and whatever. You're just like, hey, and then you become, and then you the reality hits you, and then you get yourself in gear. And then I guess these politicians feel the same way. They feel like, I'm invincible. Don't tell me. And they want to set an example, I guess. I mean, Boris Johnson and Donald Trump are complete fucking morons, but they still feel like it's Steve Jobs, by the way. Brilliant, brilliant guy. Never got the cancer treatment he needed. Inside these narcissistic people, they just feel like, well, it's not going to, or if I act this way, it won't catch up to me. And that's not the case with a virus. It's going to catch up to you. You've got to take care of yourself and stay inside, and let's get through this. Bill Gates spoke yesterday on CNN, and he was saying, the reason why China is seeing very few new cases, or so they say, who knows, we can trust them, but is that they did this militaristic, lockdown that we could never do, you guys could never do, but they did it, and that's what is saving them. And so we need to do the best we can. He was saying you can't just open up this part of the country, or it's farmland, you can open up that. You can't. Everyone has to stay in lockdown. He's like, look, if there's 100 cases in a town, or 20 cases in a town, it's expanding by 33% every day. So that becomes 100, becomes 1,000, becomes 5,000. You can't just think, oh well, that's a big city problem, because it isn't. It's tough. It's a real tough situation we're in.
Yeah, well, yeah. This is the thing when you're in self-isolation, when you're in quarantine, you just talk. It's not like, I've got to go, I've got this meeting to get to, or I've got to catch this train, Yeah. I've got nothing to do.
I know.
Just keep talking. It's like
exactly.
It's like, 'cause I come from a radio background, so now people leave little voice memos on WhatsApp or iMessage or whatever, or even Instagram now in your private messages. The thing with that is Instagram limits you to a minute, but WhatsApp doesn't. So I come from a radio background where I don't like dead air, and I just keep talking. I don't know when to stop because there's no one telling me to stop. It's not like an answer phone, old school answer phone message would run out eventually, wouldn't it? Of tape, probably.
Right.
I just keep going, and this is that situation. We're both doing it.
I know, but hey, like you said, let me check my schedule. Oh, yeah, it's a big black hole. I got nothing going on right now. I do have something that I'm doing right now that I'm very excited about. We can talk about this.
Let's talk about that.
There are so many creative people that have been creative, but they've been putting it off because life gets in the way. I'm encouraging all those people to, take this time and at least give a couple hours of the day to your creative side, whatever it might be. If you want, you're autistic, so draw, you're possibly a good cook. You want to, try these things. You're home, you have some time. But for the people that in the entertainment community, like myself, that are sitting at home and just really need to work out that muscle. It's like going to the gym. I just want to act. I really want to act. I really want to write, which I'm doing, but I really want to produce stuff, so I partnered with 150, which is a an incubator, a creative incubator through Time Warner Media and HBO, and they support people in the industry. They support diversity with writing and making sure that there's plenty of women and men, and everybody gets a chance. And they have a bunch of young writers that they've been supporting for years. And so I said, can we tap into those writers? That's what we want to do. They said, okay. So we're working on something called The Insiders, and I'm calling it Quarantainment. What they're doing, I'm going to reach out to my followers and reach out to people and ask them for sort of like an improv, like give me a situation, a scene you might be interested in seeing between two people. And based on those suggestions and creative suggestions that we come up with, we're going to tap these writers. There's over 100 writers who have responded on Facebook now, and they obviously have been working with a bunch of great writers. And those writers will then be paired up with someone like a J.J. Abrams, Damon Lindelof, Michael Green, these successful writers, Jonathan Shapiro, a bunch of my friends, Greg Garcia, have all said, yeah, we'll help out. And they'll come up with something really well written based on two actors that I find. So I'm going to go talk to my actor friends, very recognizable, big names, hopefully, and say, will you do a scene on Zoom where the two people are on the screen? And it might be a job interview. It might be a dating situation. It might be a child telling his parents something. It could be really sweet, dramatic, funny, hopefully a lot of funny stuff. But we're working on that. We're going to do 4 or 5 scenes, see how that works, and then hopefully do another 4 to 5. It's a delicate time for people to, you got to put out entertainment that people will respond to and like and not be offended by. And there's so much, it's interesting. You want to entertain, you want people to escape, but at the same time, there's such a seriousness going on right now that you want to respect it and not offend anyone. But I think this could be a really fun outlet for writers and also just a way for people to stay connected creatively. So that's exciting. And people can check my Twitter feed at Greg Grunberg to see as that develops. But that's going to roll out pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah, I'll link to your Twitter in the video description if people want a direct link. So you say very quickly, I mean, this could go on for months, this situation. Like the UK is apparently 3 weeks behind Italy. I think you guys must be a similar time behind Italy as well. We could be in this situation for 2-3 months. Who knows how long? So when you say pretty quickly, are we talking days, weeks?
Well, we were hoping to get up the first video or first 2 videos or scenes or whatever in about 2 weeks, and then we'll roll them out probably once a week after that. But we'll see. I mean, it's we're going to do. It's not going to be post heavy, but we're going to put some stuff in to sweeten it, so it's not just 2 people on Zoom sort of reading a scene, which is actually entertaining as well. I mean, if you get a huge actor that you love doing that, and it's it's really fun. And we might do something where we get we have the same scene done by 3 different sets of actors, so you can see how different actors would play those scenes differently. We'll see. We're just kind of experimenting, but I love that 150 and Time Warner, they're supporting this. It's great. It's really great. And there's going to be a charity component on top of all of it. They're going to be donating. So hopefully to the Actors Fund and to other charities to support the people that are independent. I mean, you talked about being an independent person. Every creative is an independent person. They're paycheck to paycheck or job to job, and I'm right in that boat. If I was on a show right now, I've been working. I'm very fortunate. I'm not complaining, but, you as an actor, you kind of go, oh, okay, well, I've got enough money set away for this amount of time, and now you're looking to the future. So it's an uncertain time for everyone. It
really is. And again, like I said earlier, it affects people in so many different ways that aren't necessarily the virus itself or any kind of illness. It's just odd. And yeah, the creative industries, we really, like you said, everybody's freelance these days. In fact, I mean, I'm turning it into a positive. I've told my subscribers they're going to see more of this. I think that's a positive.
I do too.
Yeah, not the 500 people who unsubscribed in that moment. I don't think they quite did.
You're also the only guy who cuts his own hair who, like, we all look at now and go, see? Because I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, this is short now, but it's gonna grow quickly. I might be calling you. Maybe we should do a haircut on the air.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it.
Tape a haircut. So me actually giving myself a haircut, because I don't know what I'm doing. I should reach out to some people that know what they're doing and they can talk me through it on Zoom.
But I think you're okay at the moment. You're talking to
I'm
me.
up
You're
good.
talking to me. You're in good company for this subject. It's fine.
That's true.
But the thing is, I've lost my my signal. When I know the trigger of when I know I need to get it cut is on the London Underground. When I nearly kill myself, when the train comes in and the wind blinds me, I'm blinded by hair, and I walk into the door, or I almost actually get caught in the gap, mind the gap between the train door and the platform. When that happens, when I almost die, that's when I know I need a haircut.
Or when you wake up in the
now,
morning,
I'm stuck indoors.
Yeah. Also, when you wake up in the morning and a bird has nested on your head, that's when you know.
That's every morning. I can't have a haircut every day, And let's not stop at birds. I've got all the wildlife going on in my.
Hey, look at this! Wait, I just got. I get these probably about once a day. Hold on, I want to share this with you. I hope they'll be okay with it. So I'm on something called Cameo, which I'm sure you're aware of.
That's when people get messages, don't they? Like Happy Christmas.
Yeah. So there is someone wants to. Oh, they want to send this out. Hold up a picture of Grievous and say, "This is General Grievous. Grievous always covers his mouth when he coughs, despite being a cyborg on a ship filled with only robots. Be more like Grievous. Stay safe, stay healthy. May the force be with you always, Greg Grunberg." So they want me to do that into the camera, and they've sent a request for me to do that. People can go to, if you want me to do messages for you, go to Cameo, cameo.com/Grunny. I'm pretty sure it's Grunny, Grunny. Or you'll see it. It's listed on my Twitter feed. But go to cameo.com, search Greg Grunberg either way, and I'll send out a message for like a birthday message or try to cheer someone up. But it's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, I'll put that. I'll link to your Cameo in the video description as well. So the Twitter will be there, the Cameo will be there. Anything else? Any other links?
What else? Actually, burningdogfilm.com. I believe it's Burning Dog Film or Burning Dog Movie. Hold on, let me. This is a movie that I did. Burning Dog Film. burningdogfilm.com. If you go there, you can download or stream and watch this movie that we made, and we were hoping for a theatrical release, and we're releasing it now, streaming, and it's really fun. It's a first-person shooter action comedy. So you watching the movie are the main character. I keep turning to the camera and going, "Hey, come on, let's go. What are you doing? Stay close." That kind of thing. So you're trying to keep up with these two cops.
Cool.
It's fun.
Perfect. Quarantainment. Is it quarantainment you called it?
Quarantainment, man. Quarantainment. Is Burning Dog the best film in the world? No. It's pretty great, though. But I have to say.
Will it kill 90 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's a fun 90 minutes. Yeah. This was Trey Batchelor. He's a brilliant guy. He's been in the film business forever. And Soderbergh, he works with Soderbergh, and he's just fantastic. And he wrote this, and he directed it, and produced it, and he poured his money into it. So I came on board and starred in it. There's a lot of really great people in the movie. It's on my Twitter feed as well. But go to burningdogfilm.com. And then there's an old movie of mine, an old movie that I co-wrote, starred in. I co-wrote it with Larry Trilling, who's an amazing filmmaker and TV producer and writer and director. But anyway, he and I, it's called Group Sex.
Right. Okay.
Group Sex.
I mean,
if you have Amazon Fire Stick, or if you have Amazon, it's on Amazon. You can find it. Search Group Sex. A lot of really interesting things will come up. But one of those will hopefully be a movie with me and Henry Winkler and Tom Arnold and Odette Usman and Josh Cook and oh my gosh, Kim Whitley and Lombardo Boyard, and there's all these really great people in it. It's really funny. It's a sexaholic romantic comedy. Right up your alley.
I'm in, mate. I mean, I will link to that as well in the description, but I will not take responsibility for wherever it may lead people, whatever cyber alleyways they get led down. I ain't taking responsibility for that. So General Grievous was mentioned, and he does cough a lot. I think he needs to get tested for old COVID-19 if they are testing in the galaxy far, far away. And they're not here, so maybe they are there. We last met up in the flesh, I guess, a couple of times, a couple of separate occasions when you were here filming The Rise of Skywalker. But this is the first time I spoke to you since it's actually been out. And
That's true.
I've seen it. I guess you've seen it. We've both seen it.
I've
You've been
seen
in it.
People tell me I die in it. And I'm like,
it?
I don't know.
Are you disputing that? Are you disputing that?
Yes, there were some sparks. I hit the ground. Nothing that a good body shop couldn't fix. Here's the other thing, by the way. If you were an astute viewer of that movie, then you saw that I was prepping an A-wing, and yet I crashed in an X-wing. So was that me that actually crashed? I'll let you ponder that. You'll have to see the movie again. When that helmet, when I'm they have that great shot where she grabs a helmet and throws it to me, and I'm prepping my ship and stuff. That's an A-wing. That's not an X-wing.
I never noticed that, to be honest.
Yeah,
I saw you die. Yeah. So was it in the script that you die, or was it just because I remember we spoke after The Force Awakens, and you had to just do a load of different reactions, didn't you, when in the cockpit?
Yeah.
And I think you even shot a death. Did you tell? I think you told me that you did.
No, I wouldn't.
That, or you
that
wanted
was the thing.
to. You refused to. You refused to.
I refused to.
But this
time,
because
they give you a bunch of things to say that they'll use it and edit later. It's like, I got it on my back. Watch your back. Here we go. Let's go. I got it. Yeah. All these successful things, and then they say, okay, all these things. I've been hit. I'm going down. Say goodbye. That kind of stuff. So on the first movie, I was like, no, I'm not going to say those things. And they called over. It was second unit. And they called over to JJ, and they said he won't say the dismal stuff. And he said, well, if he won't say it, he won't say it. Okay. And he was great. He's my best friend, whatever. On this one, no, this was a decision, and it was a decision that didn't come lightly. I mean, obviously I'm not one of the main characters of this movie. So, but you have to do important things. You have to do things that, to have your character mean more to people, you got to do stuff. And JJ said to me during the writing of it, he said, hey, I have an idea. I think this could be great, but I want you to know about it. We're thinking about killing your character. And I was like, oh, no. I mean, what Star Wars means to me. You know what JJ means to me. Is my brother. JJ and I have known each other since we're 5. So I trust him implicitly, and creatively especially. So I'm like, look, if you think it's the best thing to do. And then I asked him, I said, what do you think? And he's like, I think it's great. I think it'd be great for the movie, and people love your character and whatever. And he goes, I'll give you some really good moments during the movie so that, it'll build up that love. And oh, I love Snap Wexley. And then, that's when you care. You're moving the audience emotionally, even a little bit like that. And so I said, okay, I trust you. And then I remember he called and he goes, we may not do it. We may not do it. We might be doing something else. And I was like, oh, okay, good. And then he called and he goes, no, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And so I was like, oh my God. And then the one, okay, so there's the scene where they come back from the battle, and everybody's celebrating and Chewie, and they get a hug and whatever. And Lin-Manuel Miranda, who I'm such a fan of, such a nice guy, he's the best. He was on set. There were a bunch of people that wanted to be in the background, and fans of Star Wars and stuff. And I called you, but you didn't come. Anyway,
busy, mate, busy.
I know you're busy.
I was prepping for self-isolation.
Right. Exactly. You're stacking toilet paper in your basement. So anyway, they're shooting that scene. They call me to set, and I'm there, and JJ's positioning people and saying, okay, you go over here, and you this is with we'll get him, and you'll hug her, and you'll do all this. And then he looks at me and he's like, oh, and he comes over to me and he goes, you can't be here right now. You died. And I was like, oh my God, because we shoot things out of sequence, and I was like, what? Oh yeah. Oh. And I really was bummed about it. That was when the first time, even after reading the script and talking about it for months and months and hanging out in London with JJ and stuff, that's when it hit me. I was like, okay, fine. I'll go back to my my trailer, and you guys have a good party, have fun. And it was, and then seeing the movie, man, I love that movie so much. I mean, look at this. Look at this. This is,
it's blurry.
Oh, it's blurry? Oh, wait, here, let me hold it up.
It's The Force Awakens, isn't it? It's still blurry,
yeah,
but I think I can just about make out The Force Awakens.
And I got posters. Dude, look at this. I got posters. Oh, look, here we go.
Are we in your man cave right now?
You're totally in my man cave. I blurred it back there, but I've got, all my action figures and all that stuff for when when a charity asks, I'll sign it and send it out. I never want to run out of it. I got my books, Dream Jumper. I've got cases of those. I've got, I always answer the call when people ask. I don't never want to be empty handed. So
blurred out for good reason, I imagine.
Yeah.
Not
yeah.
safe.
Well, there's a lot of porn behind me too. So, I got to.
You showed that Force Awakens poster. What kind of, you're a Star Wars fan, so I imagine you were just as excited going to work on 9 as you were to go and work on 7. Were there any kind of differences between working on the two films?
Well, from the start, everyone knew this was the last of this story. This is, trilogy is the third of 3 trilogies. I mean, it's, hence the number 9. So there was an appreciation, and I know there was an appreciation for most people on this, almost, I think, everybody. So there was that level of, man, this is really great, and really treasuring every moment. And then for me, I have scenes with, we all had, but I have a couple extra ones with Carrie Fisher, who wasn't, obviously she's passed away, so she wasn't there. And that was really, really special and difficult. And her daughter, Billie Lourd, who was just, I love so much. And we hit it off. We, have an affinity for each other. She's just the greatest. So we're trying to have fun. And at the same time, it was very difficult. And so the movie was it was one of the most unique and joyous and wonderful and important jobs I've ever had, and always when I work with my best friend, there's nothing better. We could be doing a little stupid video, just between us, and it's just as much fun. But this, anytime, that we're on a real set, and he's in charge. Anybody that works with JJ will tell you there's nothing better. He's the best. So, yeah. It was absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Now, when I say on location, I don't mean Jordan, for example. But I think with this one, which you didn't get to do with the last one, or episode 7 at least, is you sort of went on location, didn't you? Because that forest, isn't that like opposite Pinewood Studios somewhere? It's not part
Black
of the
Park.
studios. So you went on location. That was different.
Yeah, exactly. I got in a van and I drove 7 minutes. But yes, no question. Hey, they had a trailer. You're very right. It was, to be on the Roger Moore stage, one of the biggest sound stages in the world at Pinewood. And Pinewood has doubled in size since we did The Force Awakens. So this was, again, it was like I would have absolutely been content having done one Star Wars movie and had a character that had a name and some dialogue in Star Wars. To have done it twice now, again, I'm just so incredibly fortunate, so lucky. I had the greatest year. I really had such a wonderful year. I got to work with Al Pacino on a movie called Paterno a little over a year ago, prior to that. But and then I worked with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga on Stars Born, and then so absolutely incredible. And again, Star Wars. There's nothing better, man.
A Star is Born. You got me through a portion of a flight to I think it was to Korea. I watched Star is Born, and last time I saw you on a plane before that, you crashed it. So it was sort of unsettling at the same time, gotta say.
Yeah, I'm the worst pilot on film, without question. I crashed the plane and lost, and then I crashed my X-Wing in Star Wars. So you don't want to fly with me on screen, at least. But yeah.
I never asked you before, and this is the kind of the missing link here in the sequel Star Wars trilogy, if you like. The Last Jedi. Now, I liked The Last Jedi. Every time I say I like The Last Jedi, I lose subscribers. It's like when Bono says every time he clicks his fingers, children die around the world. It's not like that at all. But I say I like The Last Jedi because I do. I like The Rise of Skywalker as well. I do. I lose subscribers. That's the weird, world we're in. I like The Last Jedi, mostly because you weren't in it.
I know.
Best of the 3.
I know. You were cheering at the screen every moment I wasn't in that movie.
Why was that?
I don't know. I just think that was a creative choice. And it wasn't for lack of trying. I'll tell you that. I definitely was so excited when I heard they were doing 8, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. And then, there was a little bit of an email or a Twitter DM going around with a few of us that were pilots, Jess and me and stuff. And we were like, have you heard? Haven't heard. And I was like, okay, I'll, let me check with JJ. He didn't have anything to do with the movie, but I said, could you check with Kathy Kennedy? Could you just see if because you schedule your year, I don't want to obligate myself to a project if I'm going to be going to London and then shoot something. And we heard back, yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And I was like, wait, I'm sorry, what? And they said, yeah, no, it's just creatively, it doesn't work. So I was bummed. I got to say, I was bummed to not. But again, I was thrilled that I was already in a movie. I was like, that's fine. And then I see the movie, and I'm completely conflicted because I'm really bummed I'm not in the movie, but I really liked the movie. I mean, there were moments in the movie I did not like. I'm not going to hide that. There were, but that's.
What, were they the scenes you weren't in?
No, but that would be the whole movie. I really enjoyed that movie. Rian Johnson's a brilliant filmmaker, man. He really knows his stuff, and he entertained the crap out of me. I mean, I was like, this is a good ride. Like, this really was a lot of fun. So, again, that's I was conflicted in that way. And then when I got a call from JJ, whatever it was, a year later or something, or saying I got good news and I got better news, and I was like, what's the good, everything okay? And he's like, yeah, I mean, it's good. I'm doing Star Wars. I'm doing episode 9. I'm like, what? Oh, I got it. And we go on and on. I'm like, oh, he said, yeah, we got some great ideas. And I'm excited to write with this partner, this guy. He's amazing. Anyway, on and on. And then I said, oh, wait, what's the better news? And he goes, oh, Snap's back. And that was the best ever. So, I'm not complaining because I did enjoy 8 and I'm in 9. So I've got nothing to complain about.
And you get a glorious death scene because you did die, mate.
Right.
You've got to accept this. You've got to accept this and move on with your life.
And you never really die in Star Wars. Look, I have such a long history in Star Wars. They have been so kind to me in the Poe Dameron series, and Charles Soule, brilliant writer. He and I have become friends. Snap Wexley lives on in the comic series and in the books and everything. So I don't know everything I should know about my character, but I know that Nora, my mom, was a legendary pilot, and I know that that I'm one of the best pilots out there, and so it's amazing that they've actually even cared about a character that I've played. Or I mean, that I get to play a character that they care about so much. I should say that they didn't write it for me. It's because they've taken that character and done something with it. So I'm just so proud to be that guy.
Well, you've touched on a few things that might need to be touched upon again, because I've got these questions here from some subscribers who want to know stuff about you from you. Go on. They don't want to know anything about me. It's all about you. So this first one is from Porgs Printers 3D, who has asked, who's your favourite character in Star Wars? But it can't be Snap. And I know what you're like, Greg Biased Grunberg. So listen to Porgs Printers 3D. It can't be Snap. Favourite Star Wars character?
Well, that's like me asking him, what's your favorite 3D printer? It's one of those things that they're like your baby.
You can't answer that.
You can't answer that. My favorite character, hands down, is Han Solo. There's nobody better than Harrison Ford. There's just nobody better, man. There are people that just have it, man. You just have it. You have to do zero. I've got to ramp up a bit. I got to do what I can do to pull back and just be me and trust in who I am or whatever. Nobody trusts who they are completely naturally out of the womb. There's, I don't know anybody else who has more charisma and is just a better actor. Harrison Ford, he's the best. And Han Solo, that character of, think about how difficult it is. Here's a guy who is he's arrogant in his own mind. Like, he's so arrogant, like, I can handle anything, and you don't know what you're talking about. He's a con man, yet you love him. Just love Harrison Ford. Love Han Solo. Definitely Han's down. Han Solo is my favorite.
Did security have to keep you away from him on set of 7?
Oh, man. That's the thing is you think, don't meet your heroes. I mean, we've all heard that because they're just going to disappoint you. No, not in this case. I came to love him even more. Such a pro and so humble and you got to know your shit. I mean, there's no question. A guy like him, Al Pacino, Bradley Cooper, JJ, any of these guys. I mean, we're all at a level where it's like you gotta know your stuff. And if you're prepared and you come ready to play, there's no better person to do that with than those guys. I mean, I didn't have a lot with Harrison Ford, but I just was so honored to be in a movie with him, and then I had dinner with him once and stuff. So it's just I can't complain. It's the best ever.
Han Solo then is the answer. All right, next one. Thaddeus G. Thaddeus G wonders if you would have liked to do voice acting in the Clone Wars if it had gone on for more seasons, because it's currently in its final season, apparently, season 7.
Yeah. Oh, are you kidding me? For sure. I was asked actually in the game, the Lego Star Wars game. They reached out to my agent and said, would Greg be interested in playing Snap Wexley, voicing Snap Wexley? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, well, we have a guy who'll do. I'm like, what are you saying? And then of course it's their way of spending no money and whatever. Star Wars is the kind of thing you don't care. You can't. That's not a money job. That's a job that's for your kids, for the history of your career, and it's a milestone. So, I voiced my own character in that game, and I would have done the Clone Wars in a second. I would have loved it, and I hope that through Disney Plus and through all the other this canon, they need me either to voice a different character or to continue, hopefully, in a way that we go back and we see the origins of all the pilots or something. I don't know what they're going to do, but I would love to be a part of any of that. Voice, face, whatever they need, I'm there.
Yeah, like you said earlier, nobody has really died in Star Wars because they will revisit portions of this era again, characters, their backstories, as you said. Speaking of backstory, you did touch on it.
And by the way, I'm sorry, let me interrupt you. You brought up a great creative hole that needs to be filled, which is what happened to the pilots in 8. I mean, you asked the question yourself. Let's see what happened to it may not be a film, but it could be an animated thing. It could be, they certainly answer it in the books. But I'm just saying, let's see that. Let's see that played out in some sort of a TV or film.
Yeah, I think that could happen because it's like the prequel era had its fans. It had its enemies as well. And the thing with Star Wars now, I said this to I was talking to Anthony Daniels, and I said this to him. I feel like Star Wars is now almost a bit like Brexit, which obviously, being a fellow Brit, he was fully on board with and got me. But it's so you're one way or the other, it seems, and whatever they do can never satisfy everybody. Because
I mean, I get asked the question all the time: was Star Wars or Star Trek? I'm like, they're two completely different franchises. What are you talking about? That's like The Hangover or Animal House. Yeah. I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, they both involve characters that drink a lot of booze, and they're both really funny, great characters, great acting. It's like, okay, let them stand independently. They're not mutually exclusive, and I love both. Whichever check clears.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I wouldn't know, but I imagine. But yeah, I just think, like so many different generations now have grown up with Star Wars and have grown up, full stop. When you release a new Star Wars, particularly a film, the cartoons, you can sort of say, okay, this is aimed at a younger audience. But with the films, you're kind of trying to please everybody, all the different generations. And you can't do that. You can't do that because you'll always annoy somebody with your decision.
Well, you can't do it immediately. I really believe that The Rise of Skywalker is going to stand the test of time. And I think looking back, all the people that I don't understand how anyone could have been anything but thrilled with the movie. Honestly, I'm not being brainwashed. It's not because JJ is my best friend or I'm in the movie. I truly loved this movie so much. I thought it was so satisfying and so great. The comments initially were, oh, he's just pandering to the fans. It's like, isn't that his job? Isn't that the job of the movie it's like he just wanted to satisfy the fans. It's like, well, what are you talking about? I mean, that word satisfy is always associated with a great movie. Man, it was so satisfying. That movie could not have been more satisfying. I loved it so much. And, again, like you're saying, everyone grew up with this. So you're not going to be able to handle each and every situation or character in the same way that everybody envisions it. When we're looking back on The Rise of Skywalker in 10 years, everyone's going to say, oh, that was such a great movie. I really believe it.
Yeah. I think I just found it very entertaining, you know. Sure, there were bits I didn't like as much as others, but that's the same for The Last Jedi. You know what? That's the same for The Empire Strikes Back, my favourite Star Wars film of them all. I still have some problems with it, but yeah, I guess my only kind of, the main thing I would say, my main note with The Rise of Skywalker was 2 films, mate. Should have been 2 films. Could have been 2 films.
Okay, especially the beginning of the movie. Like, things came at us so quickly in the beginning of that movie, and it was because you wanted to service and catch up on all these characters and everything. But again, it was edited so brilliantly. It was written so brilliantly. I just loved it. It had the right amount of humor and action, and the end. I mean, it was like, you're going to try and take Star Wars to another level visually, and they did. Just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Everyone. I mean, it goes back to George Lucas, man. You cannot forget who the real king is here. I mean, he's just so brilliant. So brilliant. How in the world can you create something this epic, you know, and something that I remember, and we talked about this, but I remember that was the first movie that I walked out of the movie and I kept talking about the characters after I finished watching the movie. I mean, I was a kid. What am I doing? I see it and I'm like, that was funny. This was like, wait a minute, that means that this and what if this and what if that? So it's you know, George Lucas is just and then to be able to influence so many other creative minds to take your baby and to expand on it. So just, again, I go on and on, but I loved it so much.
Well, talking about your character, so a couple of questions about his backstory, which you have touched upon. Daniel Patterson and Big Bad Ben Racing, they want to know if you read any of the Aftermath books and the Poe Dameron comics, and what you made of them, if you did.
Yeah, I mean, certainly I've touched on it before, but first of all, I was like blown away that I would open up a Poe Dameron, book or any of this stuff that has an image, and I'm like, wow, that really looks like me. Like, they really take, it's not like they go, oh, let's just draw a fat guy with a beard. Hey, here we go. It's like, oh, that's a big guy. I was just, it just blows me away. It blows me away to be a part of something like that where they've taken my character and expanded on it so much. So yeah, I mean, I'm not astute on it. I can't answer, specific questions, but I've certainly seen it, and I see it at the Comic-Cons, and we talk about it in some of the chats and things. So I'm catching up, but because there is so much information out there and so much to learn. But yeah, it's great. I have seen it. Yeah.
Well, you're not off the hook yet, because Jason in Melbourne adds to this. He wants to know, what did you think to Wedge being yours, Snap's stepdad?
Mentor.
Yeah.
Oh, stepdad?
He's like, apparently your stepdad. Yeah. I think it's been developed.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's news to me.
I've made no secret. I haven't read much of the expanded universe, as it used to be called, the spin-off comics books, even the cartoons, Clone Wars. I'm sort of just starting to try and get into that as well. So I had to look that up, and he's definitely been listed as your mentor in a lot of places.
Yeah,
but
he's
also,
my mentor.
No, but your stepdad as well. Your stepdad he's been listed as.
So Nora and they got together?
They must have at some point, I guess. Yeah.
Wow.
So you are learning. Assuming
no
this is
DNA.
True, assuming this is true, you are learning here, right now, that Wedge Antilles, the legend,
is my stepdad. Wow, this now turned into a whole other thing. I don't want to.
It's emotional, isn't it?
I promise. Yeah. I promised myself I wasn't going to cry. This would be a good time for tea. I think we really.
Jason in Melbourne, look what you've done.
I know, Jason. Thank you so much for bringing up and opening up, old family wounds. Because not only was he my stepdad, we were very close, and rightfully so. And then he left, and I didn't see him for at least 2 films. And then, but he still writes, and hopefully he'll, look, he's my stepdad. Okay, this is a personal thing. I don't really.
Did he attend your funeral?
I don't know. I didn't attend my funeral, so right? I don't know.
You did. You were in that box. You were in that box,
I am
mate.
in that box.
You
Yeah,
dodged.
we'll see. Whatever. But yeah, that's news to me. I love that. Thank you.
Well, just while we're at it, just to check, Denis Lawson, who played Wedge, your fictional stepdad, is Denis Lawson your real life stepdad?
Oh yeah, of course. You know that.
Just checking.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you get to
we
meet
exchange
Jason?
Christmas and Hanukkah gifts every year.
Jason did ask as well. Did you get to meet Denis Lawson?
No, I would love to meet Denis Lawson. Maybe you could arrange that. Maybe we could do a Skype with the three of us.
You really
that
want
would
me
be
there? I'm
awesome.
happy to turn up, but do you really want me there? Third wheeling?
Yes,
that would be.
Of course.
It's your stepdad. You've got to catch up.
No, I know, but I want somebody with as little Star Wars knowledge as possible to be part of that, because then we can talk about, just the whole the idea of playing that character. I mean, Wedge. Everybody loves Wedge so much. If I could have just 1/100th of the fan love that Wedge has as Snap Wexley, I'd be thrilled. So how cool would that be? Let's try to make that happen. That'd be really great. Maybe I'll do that. I don't need you.
No, you do. The first idea was the best idea. Stick to that idea.
That's true. Run with it.
I got a lot of questions about your death. The death that definitely did happen. Definitely happened.
All right.
Chaos Lesbian asked how you felt about your best friend killing you off, and Tuttles, if I'm saying that right, I hope so, wants to know if you did something mean to him whilst you were kids. He adds that could be the only explanation to why Abrahams did in my boy Temin like that.
Oh man. Yeah, again, bummed. I was bummed, but then after seeing the finished product, I couldn't have been happier. Just so thrilled. And it's one of those things to see Oscar, to see Poe go, no, snap! It's like you don't do that if it's just some ND pilot. It's like, okay. I mean, by the way, in that battle, if you notice, there's a few other pilots that go down. And
you got name checked.
Right. They didn't get name checked. They didn't get, someone screaming in agony over it. So I was ultimately thrilled, but obviously bummed. But again, I got to do something big, something major in the Star Wars world, in my mind at least, was perish and have a significant scene. I had that great scene with Carrie, and we had other stuff that's on the DVD extras. So I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. And no, JJ did not do anything to me. I don't have any naked photos of him or anything. He's the best friend in the world, and I would follow him into a X-wing crash, and I did.
Josh Black asked, when did you find out about your death, which definitely did happen, but as we discussed previously, you actually knew before it happened because JJ told you.
Yeah, I knew, and then I knew I wasn't, and then I knew I was. So yeah, during the filming and during the writing process, it was a roller coaster ride for me, and I couldn't tell anybody. I couldn't tell my family, I couldn't tell my kids, whatever, because I didn't know if it was going to actually end up happening. And then even when you shoot it, you don't know if it's going to end up happening because they change things and edit. So nothing I ever wanted to discuss with anyone. I was sitting there at the screening with my family, and they're like, "What?" Which was awesome. Awesome. I normally cannot keep those secrets, but I promised I wouldn't say anything, and I kept that promise.
Ben Hart wants to know, do you think Snap will return with spider legs one day?
Yes. Snap Wexley is going to come back as a big-ass spider. If that's what the reference is, oh, man. Any way to get big-ass spider back on the screen, if it's with Snap Wexley's head, I'll do it.
That would be a weird yet awesome mashup, yeah.
Yeah.
Cobra Plato wants to know, what's it like? You've touched on this already as well, actually. What's it like being best mates with JJ, apart from his murderous streak?
Yeah, no, I will. I'll just touch on the fact that everybody should have a best friend like JJ. I've been doing a bunch of interviews for the release on VOD and DVD and everything for Rise of Skywalker, and it's funny. A lot of people are saying, "Oh man, everybody should have a best friend like Greg Grunberg," because I play that best friend all the time. Mindy Kaling on her show, Mindy Kaling, she said, who's going to be my Greg Grunberg? She was feeling lonely, which is just so sweet. I mean, it's so nice. But in real life, that's JJ for me. I mean, we're really, really good friends, and we're best friends, and he's like my brother. So all this other stuff truly is icing on the cake. I'm lucky to have him as a best friend. I've turned to him for so many. We all have ups and downs in our lives, and you need somebody to turn to. He's that guy for me.
Canario Garcia, and also Rhodes_Steve P. They want to know, what was your favorite day on set? And I guess this can count for Force Awakens or Rise of Skywalker.
My favorite day on set. Well, there's a picture on Rise of Skywalker. It was when we were all around, and I was talking about how I just did recon, and I came back, and here's what I found, and just to be a part of that tableau, to be standing there with all of the Star Wars characters that I've grown up with. Anthony Daniels is there, Anthony, and Oscar and everyone, Boyega and Daisy, and then Harrison's there, and just to be in the C-3PO and R2-D2, and it was crazy. I mean, I just remember standing there. And I have the image. They gave me the still of it, and it's just that moment was like, wow, and then to have JJ come up, cut. He comes up to me and he was like, "That was pretty good." And he goes, "Although it looks like you're watching the movie." He said that to me, and so I mean, that moment I'll never forget. And then working with Carrie Fisher. Every moment I had with her was my favorite moment in Star Wars. So hope that answers that question.
Yeah, and this next question I think you've answered already. You're good at this, Grunberg. Also on the theme of being on set, this question is from 50. What's it like working with Harrison Ford, which you have talked about, but he's also asked about Daisy Ridley as well. And a bit of a PS here. He wants you to be positive, just in case you weren't going to be. I imagine you were going to be.
I have nothing negative to say about either one of those people, especially Daisy. Daisy is, oh man, I've been fortunate enough to work with some of these people that are at the top of the show. They've been women. It's not a coincidence. JJ has hired and has a great eye for incredibly talented, powerful, strong, brilliant actresses. From Carrie Russell to Jennifer Garner to Daisy Ridley. They're very hard to find. Any actor that is that devoted and that generous and that brilliant. I mean, she is just incredible, and she's an incredible person. We've become good friends, and I wish I was closer to her. She lives on that side of the pond, but she's just the best. Absolutely the best. And the pressure that these people are under to deliver and to deliver strong characters like they do, it's really hard. I've been in that position a couple of times where I'm the number one on the call sheet, and it's nowhere I want to be. I'd rather be the guy who runs in, says a joke, and runs out. I mean, I love that stuff. I love being that supporting character actor. But she's just brilliant, as is Jenna Garner and as Carrie Russell, and just amazing. Daisy's incredible.
It's a couple.
Is that negative enough for you?
That was pretty negative, mate. I think you've I think you've delivered.
Sorry, Daisy. I hope you don't find that offensive.
You've touched on I guess you have touched on this as well. You've touched on it all. You've just got your fingers everywhere in this time of a pandemic where we're supposed to, as long as you've washed your fingers, it's okay, I guess, isn't it? Yeah. Bob the Snail Animation asks, what was it like working with the original actors? But he's not really focusing on the actors. He's also talking about the performers as well. So he's name-checked Mike Quinn, who did a lot of puppeteering, I think 9 famously. So he's asked what it's like to work with those old school guys who have been brought back, but also what it's like for you to now be one of them, to be part of the family.
The level of respect I have for all of the puppeteers and the actors that you may not see their face, but the work is through the roof. I mean, I have such a respect for them. It's easy for me to stand in this orange jumpsuit and be goofy and say my lines. These guys, that takes 3 or 4 people to put one character together. And some of these characters, and I got to get pretty close while we were shooting to a lot of them, and they're brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And they're it's like, here are all the tools. Here's the tool chest. I get to use all my tools. I get to use everything you see, and a lot of times, a lot of actors, they don't use them all. They just kind of like, well, whatever. I didn't really. These actors are. It's all stripped away. So they're very limited in what they can do. And sometimes they get more of a reaction and more of a moment than they would if they were just standing there. And it's not just because of maybe how interesting they look. They're just so good at doing subtle things and then being patient. Oh man, think about the hours that they have to put in before they get on set, and then afterwards, putting on and off the makeup and the prosthetics and all that. I just have such a huge level of respect, and they're also just wonderful people. I see them at Comic-Cons, and there's a lot of them, and they're the best.
And can you sum up, that kid with JJ who went to see that original Star Wars film and is now part of the family? Can you sum up what that feels like in one sentence? Is it even possible?
No, it's not possible. It's pure joy. Three words.
Pure joy, baby. Anthony Goodman,
Yeah.
You mentioned the suit. He wants to know, did you get to keep the flight suit and the helmet?
No, man, you don't get to keep shit. Disney
Nothing.
covets. No, nothing. I stole my badge. There's a little badge that you get so I ripped that off, and I almost had to give that back, but I refused. But everything else is archived. I mean, they're very good about, they know how valuable and how important all this stuff is. I would have loved to have gotten my helmet, so I'm still going to request my helmet. That's the one thing that I want. I have a fake version that I bought at Disneyland, and I have it in the living room of our house. I have it. So people come in, they're like, "Oh man," and I'm like, "No, that's not my helmet. That's just a helmet that I bought." But yeah, one day, I'll pester at the right moment. I don't think a pandemic is really the right time to request a selfish prop, but
bide your time.
I'll wait until maybe third week of quarantine. I don't know. I'll let it ease up a little bit or get worse. No, one day, hopefully, that I can pass down to my boys. But no, right now, that's it. I mean, I wish I had. Look, Big Ass Spider, I got the whole thing. I got my whole outfit. Movies where I'm in charge, I can steal stuff, and I do. But something is so important, like sci-fi, the genre stuff. No, they know how valuable that stuff is. They keep it.
My light's gone out. I think that's a sign usually that we've been doing this for a while. When the light goes out,
I think that's like the
warning,
at the comedy club, comedy club, the light in the back that says we're almost good. How long have we been doing this now? This interview's gone on for a while.
Does that mean by now nobody's watching as well?
Yeah,
it's just you and me, baby.
Your solar panel. The sun has gone beyond the clouds and over the hill.
Well, let's get through these final ones. Captain Britain. You mentioned this earlier, actually. Again, Captain Britain asks, do you know if Jessica Henwick was asked to come back for The Rise of Skywalker? Because the group of you X-Wing guys who weren't called back for Episode 8, obviously you're there in 9, but Jessica and the others, I think, were not there for Rise of Skywalker.
Right. Jessica has, she's the greatest. She has really racked up an amazing career for herself. Like she's doing incredible. So I think it may have been a scheduling issue with her. I'm not sure. Probably not though, because I know how important Star Wars is to her. I don't know. Again, it's creatively. Look at how many characters they had to service. Why didn't we see Rose? That character should have gotten a lot more screen time. And our characters are, we're just kind of there to support in the background at most of the time. So I don't know why. And I'm sure she had a discussion. Maybe it was, look, you can come back, but you're going to be more in background and you're not going to really have much to do and that kind of thing. I don't know. But it's not for lack of love. Everybody loves her. So, and all the other pilots. So I don't know. I'm just, again, selfishly, I'm lucky that I was a part of another movie,
This is a cheeky question from Dark Nightwing Phoenix, who asks, what would an episode 8 directed by J.J. Abrams have looked like? I think I know what he's referring to there, which you have talked about recently in a lesser known outlet than youtube.com/Jamie Stangroom, the Hollywood Reporter or something. This refers to a hashtag release the JJ cut. But before Greg answers, I'd like to take this moment to make an apology to Darth Nightwing Phoenix on behalf of my idiot brain for translating and turning your question into something completely different. You, my friends, get a free pass next time.
Oh, yes. Which is complete crap that I know of. Everybody talked about every director has their first cut that they turn in, and then they have notes. The studio has notes, and for the different reasons they need to cut this and that out of the movie. Most of those things that are important are kind of cool end up in the director's um, DVD extras on the release, which I think is really, really cool on this movie. But no, I never heard, and I would have heard. I mean, he's my best friend. We talk all the time. I would have heard from JJ, oh man, they're making me cut this and cut that. Never. It was always a positive creative process. Like he was like, oh yeah, no, got some really good notes. I mean, I actually didn't even hear that. I mean, he never told me. It was a normal creative process. So when people are mentioning this, people like to create stuff that doesn't exist. I'm not going to fuel it and throw gas on it because I don't know anything more than what I know, which was that it was just such a joy the whole time. It was just, every time I talked to JJ, he was like, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Or he'd show me a little snippet on the set, of something they shot a couple days before. There was nothing ever but positive, especially, and if there's one person you would have like said, oh, they're really coming down on me on this and that, I would have heard that stuff. I never heard any of it. So I think it's bullocks, as you say.
The Bacons asks, what do you know, Greg, of JJ's thoughts on The Last Jedi and what his mindset was going in to episode 9?
That's a question you got to ask JJ. I mean, honestly.
Are you not JJ? Am I interviewing the wrong guy?
You are. You're interviewing the wrong guy. I can't speak for JJ on that. I don't know. I know that he enjoyed the movie. I remember we talked about that. He definitely enjoyed the Last Jedi. So, but who knows? I mean, that's like the conversation that he had with his writing partner, and like, okay, so how do we take this and now take it to the next level? And Kathy Kennedy, I mean, these are brilliant minds, man. Look what they did. Look what they've done. So, I'm not going to be the one to answer that question. Nope.
Neither am I, to be honest, because I'm also not J.J. Abrams. You're not answering questions from J.J. Abrams. Jamie, great name, Jamie Armstrong Hitchings. Do you know about Mr. Bones?
I do know about Mr. Bones. Not much, but I know that Mr. Bones was my droid.
Yeah, like a battle droid that you constructed, apparently. Yeah,
I constructed Mr. Bones, and every time I mention stuff, I'm like, oh, I hope I get to do this or that. Everyone always says, well, I hope Mr. Bones is coming with you. So I'm like, okay, but yeah. Again, any Mr. Bones, like. Only a franchise like this, or Star Trek, or something where a peripheral character, a little character, would mean so much to so many people, and that's just, I'm lucky to be a part of something like that. And Mr. Bones is forever connected to me. Wedge is forever connected to me. That's just great. All that stuff I love.
Two more, Raphael Morgan, because I don't want to leave just one person out. I'd feel awful for all eternity.
Me.
Raphael, I'll never leave you out. Raphael Morgan, we will not leave you out. He wants to know what you made of the sequel trilogy overall. Could you sum that up in a sentence or two? Your summary,
what I made of the last one?
No, the whole final trilogy that you were part of as a whole.
I just thought it was absolutely brilliant. I thought, nobody better to launch it than JJ, because he cares so much about the humanity of those characters and keeping that at the forefront of it, the relationships, and creating situations creating characters where you can't help but ask, wait a minute, who's related to who, and how does that connect to who, and all of that. I mean, it's just such a difficult puzzle to create and to construct and then deconstruct, and not pander to the audience and not give them too much or too little. And I just thought he did such a brilliant job of it. And then I thought Ryan did a great job in the middle, and JJ brought it home, man. I have nothing bad to say. I loved it.
Takes to Know Games is asked, and he or she has added that this is their opinion. Was it difficult to star in Heroes Season 3? And this is where their opinion comes into it. For them, the plot or characters got a little bit confused, they felt, in Season 3. Did it feel that way for you?
Absolutely. Yes. And this I can get opinionated on, in more of a, the other, I just have such a huge love of, and I had such a love of Heroes 2, but I did think that it got a little off the rails when they were trying to, there's this, they're trying to hold on to the magic of Discovery, which is what we were all so lucky to be a part of with the first season of Heroes, which is the audience is discovering the characters are discovering their powers, it was just one discovery after another, and it was just so brilliant. How do you keep that up? It's really, really tough. I really want people that are so opinionated about that or Lost or anything where, you go over several seasons and you have so many characters coming and going. Think about what it takes to sit in the writer's room. I don't care if you have 20 writers. It's really tough to come up with week after week all these characters, how they intertwine. Season 3 of Heroes, I remember there were moments when like Milo and I looked at the script, we're on the set, and we're like, wait, no, I can't say that to him. I've never met him before. You really think about it. Our characters didn't interact. We were like little mini shows into ourselves, and then the stories connected eventually. So there were moments, and I don't blame the writers at all. I mean, it's hard to keep that level of discovery and clarity and interest, and they did the best they could. They really did. And there were times when I was like, what? Really? Okay. And I just kind of went with it. And but the majority of the time, oh man, I was just absolutely so thrilled. I mean, that was the job of a lifetime, working with those people, dude. Oh my God. Joe and Jesse and Jeff and Brian and, Tim and everybody, just top notch people in the business. I've been, that was one of those that I just got so lucky to be a part of a show like that. I killed it. I killed it. I was amazing. Don't get me wrong. I mean, without me, that show would have been crap. But all I'm saying is, no,
you're all right. You're okay.
I loved it. I loved it so much.
Ignatius? Probably Ignatius.
Wait a minute. That was 2. You said we had 2
sneaking
left.
In a bonus one. I'm
all
sneaking
right,
it in.
Bonus. This is it. I got to go make more eggs for my kids.
I got to pee as well.
Okay. Good.
Just
all
so
right. That's why I wear a bag. I've been peeing the whole time.
Ignatius Kleptio asks, are you a good snapper? Is that a photographer?
I don't know. I don't know what a snapper is. Let's talk about this. It could be
type of fish.
Photos. Could be a type of fish.
Are you a good type of fish?
Or it could be just somebody who can keep a beat with their fingers. I don't know. I'll go with the fingers. I'm a very good snapper. I'm a drummer, as you know, Jamie. I'm a drummer. I've been in a band called Band from TV for over 14 years now, and I've got a new band called the Action Figures. Go to the actionfiguresband.com and check that out. We play.
Is that another link? Is that another link for me to add?
That's another link. And then before I go, can I just talk about my 2 podcasts?
Yeah.
I've got my book. Okay, I've got my book series called Dream Jumper. Check that out, about a boy who's able to jump in and out of his friends' dreams and save them from their worst nightmares. It's a really great book that we're hoping to turn into more than a book. That's available everywhere. And then I've got 2 podcasts. One is called Corner Stories, and it's all about what it's like to open a small business and how it's really the stories that go along with small businesses are fascinating.
That's cool. You did one in London, didn't you? With
I did the Serial Killer
Cafe.
Yeah, Serial Killer Cafe. Those brothers are amazing. That was such a blast, and they're relatable stories, and they're also it's wish fulfillment for a lot of people, because people they'd rather work 27 hours a day for themselves than 8 hours a day for someone else. And so it's really those stories and what it took to get to that point. And then I've got another one called Talk About It, which is for my epilepsy work, talking to people that are involved and somewhat connected in major ways and in other ways to the epilepsy world. Our oldest son, Jake, has epilepsy, and I encourage people to listen to the podcast, Talk About It. And if you take a little bit from it, it's me talking, so how bad can it be? But also the people are just fascinating. They're so strong and funny, and it's very touching and sad at times, but mainly uplifting. And the more you know about a condition that touches so many people around the world, the better prepared you are in case you see someone have a seizure. So I encourage people to check that out.
Yeah, well, I will link to everything that we've discussed in the last, I think, an hour and a half or something.
Wow.
All of that will be in the video description, and what a perfect time.
Coronavirus is almost over.
It's almost over, mate. We're out of quarantine. We talked through it.
Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Jamie Stangram told me to do this because he's a ridiculous human being, which I've discovered in a matter of a few minutes.